Just getting this to go live. People there?
Hello. People
Hello.
joining. We're just getting live on.
We've got 5 people on YouTube.
On all kinds of devices. We're on YouTube. We're on LinkedIn. We're on Instagram. If you keep the comments coming, we'll start answering. Hello. We've got a bunch of decks here. Can you see? We're going to talk to you about them. Anything you want to know about Pip Decks? We're here. This is Jacob.
Hello.
And I'm Charles. Hello. We've got YouTube over there. Hello. I don't know how to do. LinkedIn is very confusing on how to get that set up.
What you doing? Yeah, I mean, my LinkedIn one's just crashing.
Starting soon. The event will start. Wait for the host to start, so I have to start this on LinkedIn.
Yeah, do throw in your questions, anything around Pip Decks, any questions you've had about certain decks. We'll talk through all 10 of our decks. But yeah, if you've got any questions, just whack them in.
Manage attendees, share, join. 2 p.m. local time.
Can you see any comments? Yeah, Instagram folk, throw your questions in at us about which decks you want. I will briefly just introduce each one. Our latest, copywriting tactics. Got brand tactics. How we build an awesome brand. Got the OG workshop tactics. We've got team tactics, great for leadership. We've got productivity tactics. And I love this deck because it's not just forcing you to be as productive as possible. It's also finding ways to take breaks, finding ways to figure out what you really want to do and not just be mindlessly productive. Then we've got innovation tactics, which is a great way to sort of help you build products and services that people actually want. Then we've got idea tactics, an awesome way to come up with your best ideas and figure out which ones are actually great. Negotiation tactics, great way to ditch dead ends, reach win-wins. Storytell tactics, one of the most popular ones. This is great whether you want marketing, presentations, pitches. It's an awesome way to, it's just a great communication tool. And then we've got strategy tactics as well, which helps you sort of figure out slightly further into the future than just spinning your wheels and trying to figure out what you have to do next.
I'm gonna LinkedIn is.
I just ditch it.
Ditching it.
We can just do another one for LinkedIn.
It's so
same with TikTok.
Is TikTok not working either?
We had to verify our age by sending in our ID.
Oh right. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's end this event on LinkedIn. Delete event. Delete. And we'll stop Vimeo. All right. Okay, we're here.
Might want to move YouTube closer over to there. Just because I found I was going very QVC with the...
There we go. Let me angle it this way a bit.
Which one... Oh, I got a first question in. So, which one is the best if I struggle to raise my voice during leadership meetings? I guess I mean like struggle to be heard in leadership meetings. That's a really good question. Which one is the best if you want to stand out in leadership meetings?
I think we don't have a public speaking tactics yet, but I'd say workshop tactics is good because it actually avoids that problem in the first place. Like if you're having to raise your voice in a meeting, you're probably having a bad meeting. The best meetings are not dictated by the loudest voice, and workshop tactics gives you tools to create meetings which are basically workshops in disguise to help everyone actually participate in a way that's a bit more democratic. So it uses a lot of writing on post-its and taking it in turns to share your thoughts, making decisions by someone might not agree, but by consensus, and you can give people sort of higher voting power. But yeah, it sounds like you're having bad meetings, and workshop tactics is the kind of best way to stop having bad meetings and start having productive ones. And they can be short as well.
Mhm.
Like that's the main thing about workshops, is that people think they have to be these long, really arduous things, but actually they can be really short.
But what if you're unable to change the culture of meetings? Like, what do you think is the best way to present your ideas in the most interesting way?
Well, if you say to a bunch of people, hey, I think we should run workshops, can we try one out? You're going to get probably some pushback. So run a workshop and don't even mention that you're running a workshop. So got another question here. My background is global HR, tons of workshops, and I'm happy to see you all live. Hopefully you'll bring me up for questions. Web Fedora, like chuck your question in the chat. I don't know how.
There should be like a question segment on Instagram. I can see.
No questions yet. Okay, anyone watching can send questions. We haven't done Instagram Live.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
We're basically noobs at this. Can you like jump on? Request to join. Oh, okay. Here we go. Web Fedora. I'm accepting you.
YouTube folk might not be able to hear. Is the only thing.
Yeah, that's okay. I think I've added you on. Let me just make sure that's not on. Oh, here we go. You might be able to... Hello.
Hi, this is embarrassing. I'm literally in bed in my pajamas, but it
love
doesn't matter
it.
because it's social media. It's nice to meet you guys.
Yeah, you too.
I read about your tool maybe 6 to 10 months ago. And I used to do global HR systems implementation and kind of got into AI for HR before COVID hit. But all of that's irrelevant without the cultural changes, understanding of competencies between one another and the team, and the ability to communicate and know thyself and whatnot. So I wanted to ask you, what have you done in the US? Because you guys don't sound like you're from Oklahoma. And then also, have you had clients yet who use Workday as an HR platform?
Workday? I mean, Workday is a client of Pip Decks. Workday used Pip Decks.
They actually used it. They used it for internal development. Then I was with a really large partner. So, but I the platform. I love the platform and was a senior human capital installer.
Cool. Well, I don't. Yeah. Did we say that we're from Oklahoma? Did I give that impression?
No, I was joking because you don't sound like you are.
Definitely not Oklahoma.
No. We're not from Oklahoma. Yeah, we're in the UK. A lot of our customers are in the US. We're a global company. We're a tiny company, but a global one, which is what the internet can afford you to do these days. But did I miss? Did you have a question about culture change there? Did I miss that?
It was more how you're overlaying the Pip Deck IP with the rest of the digital IP available and usable out there right now. So your little characters, have you dropped them as individual NFTs in Web3 yet on the blockchain? Or do you just have the assets and the cards that are extremely well designed?
Yeah, so they're just illustrations. I say just. They are lovingly created over many months and iterations. But if you're going to ask me my opinion on blockchain and NFT, we'll be here for a long time because I think there's great things about it. I think there's terrible things about it.
Yeah.
I think the current status it has in the market is very much a big grift. But in terms of like monetizing the illustrations in that way, I feel like it would undermine the reason why we have them. Like, we're not trying to make money or create markets based on illustrations. We're trying to help people like do stuff with our content and with our cards, right?
Well, where I see it as high potential to overlay into the digital arenas are in the development of almost like non-psychologically validated peer-to-peer feedback. So conceptually within large-scale HR data, it's more important that teams understand one another and all that kind of stuff, right? Than that you have tokenized assets on the blockchain. Nothing will get done if everything is just all out there in the digital realm. But I watched someone use these, and that's why I originally followed you guys, because I was like, oh man, I want to use that in real life someday. And now you're live. So if you have anyone who already is using these in Oklahoma in any way, I would love to be put in touch with them. and I'll step down because I haven't actually used the tool. I just think that the peer validation function of just having completed the game, completed the exercise, regardless of what they got from it, but they completed it, that data point can feed into competency validation of the ability to actually know yourself and others a little bit better without corporate having to have the full competency model fleshed out.
That's interesting. I think that's something that, we're exploring, like obviously the digital world with our app. And I see this as a question here about the app. That's like a long burn thing, and it's something that I don't want to rush into with software because it's so easy. Software, despite AI, is still very expensive to develop, and if you go down the wrong path, it can be very expensive to wind that back. And again, like I said, we're a tiny company, we're not investor backed, so going down any meandering path around digital is a massive risk. And
but if Workday used you. You said Workday has used you, and they didn't come back to you saying, this is how we kind of see your event facilitation data fitting into our customers' uses of the system. They didn't talk to you about that?
Well, I can't talk about what our clients have spoken to us about with internal kind of contracts and things.
Scrap it and just know that I was a product manager for their talent suite, and that is what I see.
Gotcha.
So
it's really interesting. I'll take that on. I'm going to just move to the next question now, if that's okay. We've got one more.
Thank you for letting me come up and chat, and
Thank
I'll
you
drop.
so much.
So send me people in Oklahoma that use your tool, and goodbye. Keep up the good work. I like you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Okay, we've got Booney.
What's that, Beanie?
Oh, there we go. Booney left. Okay.
Okay.
So there's a question about the app in the App Store.
Can you kick me out?
I don't know how.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
This is our first time.
I can't even step down.
Can you not
figure out how to kick me out? You can do it.
Okay, let me click here. That's a question.
Like hold down on.
No. Oh, here we go.
Oh, there we go. We got it.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So yeah, if those of you don't know, my phone is here, so I can't actually show you on my phone. Oh, you've got it.
Yeah.
So Pip Decks, whilst we have physical decks, we have an app as well. So but everyone's like, why isn't it in the App Store? Because Apple are motherfuckers, right? So they don't let you create exactly what you want. It has to have some level of functionality before logging in. They take 30% of any transactions you do through the app. And so as for a small business, it's not something that we've wanted to kind of get tied up in. So we've made an app that effectively works in your browser. It works on your phone on a small screen. You can save it to your desktop or your home screen, and it has an app icon. So for all intents and purposes, it acts and behaves just like an app. It's just not on the App Store. We may look at getting it into the App Store in the future because, when you say app, people are going to go to the App Store and look for it. So there's something to be said about exploring that. But it's a really neat way to think. People have been asking for a Pip Decks app for a long time, and I've always said no. Like, we're all about the physicality of the cards. Being able to open. Oh, let's get rid of that one. Being able to open a box, and this one's not even open yet. Oh, we got the app. There we go. You can see you can access everything in here, and it's an app. It does the business. All the content's there. It's searchable. The app allows you to do things that the physical decks don't, and vice versa. Like with these physical cards, I can take them out. I can spread them all out on the table. I can turn them around and look at them. I can share them with people. And you can't do that with the app. But with the app, what you can do with the app that you can't do with the physical cards is you can search. You can search for what was that card called? And you type in one word of it, it will find you straight away. We've got some questions coming in. Let me scroll back up. Please get one of these. Trust me, I appreciate the validation there. Hey, I'm a master's student that was intersected in using the cards as a learning tool and project tactics. Do you guys have plans on going into schools and using it more in an academic way?
We have people that use it.
I mean, yeah,
academically.
So we I mean, the types of people that buy Pip Decks surprise me. Okay, so we have Harvard, Stanford University have these decks in different kind of parts of their education system. Sue, who wrote Negotiation Tactics, she's a hostage negotiator. She gives talks at Oxford and Harvard. So we are kind of entwined in the academic world in that way. But really, the way I look at them, they're tools. Like if you imagine this is like a screwdriver, this is a hammer, this is a saw. There are so many reasons why you might need these for whatever you're building. We have pastors in Middle America designing sermons for their churches using storyteller tactics. But then we've got marketing agencies in Blackburn who are building landing pages using storyteller tactics. So it's fundamental principles that are kind of traverse all kinds of industries and disciplines.
Yeah, you can apply the concepts broadly for sure.
I've got a question. How is this different to the content available online? So do you mean, is the content in the app different to the decks, or how is this different to what else is out there in the world?
Well, should we act like it's the question of how is it different from how's it different from going on Google?
The best way I can answer that is, firstly, all these decks have been written with an author, and that author isn't just someone who knows stuff. It's someone that has deep experience operating in that field. So take negotiation tactics, for example. Sue Williams, who helped us create this deck, it's her expertise and experience distilled into this system. And you could argue like, oh, couldn't AI just write this? No, quite frankly, no. Like the tips and tricks and techniques in here aren't just generated by a large language model. They're generated by someone who's actually been doing it for the last 20 years, who has negotiated with, I won't say because I'm on live, I don't know if I'll get kicked out by Instagram and YouTube.
But bad people.
Really, like
really
the worst people
yeah.
She's negotiated with. And Sue even said to me, like, oh, I asked for some negotiation advice from ChatGPT. And you know what? Like 70% of it was actually quite interesting, but it still missed a lot of fundamentals that ChatGPT just tells you kind of what you want to hear. Whereas this stuff, it has been built upon years of experience. And then the part we play at Pip Decks is to distill that into a system that means that anywhere you start in the deck, you'll find a way through it that is intuitive. Like these aren't books where we just write it and publish it and hope for the best. They're tools that we've tested with users. They take between 12 and 24 months to develop.
Like we painfully cut down, like we don't want to present all the information because it's A, overwhelming, and B, shallow. Like we'd rather go specific and choose those 54 cards we like to call the Goldilocks zone of like, it's not too much that you're gonna get overwhelmed. It's not too little that it's shallow. It's like just the right amount. And we spend a lot of time, probably too much time, figuring out what that Goldilocks zone is and what should be included and what isn't.
Yeah, like, over 5 years, we only have 10 decks. So that's like 2 decks a year that we've been averaging. Like last year, we only did 1. We did negotiation tactics. And then this year we launched copywriting tactics. But there probably won't be any more this year. Like that's it. And yeah, in terms of like updates to the card content, this is another kind of firm philosophy I have. By the way, if you're thinking about buying a Pip Deck, we're doing this live because we're doing our like one and only sale right now, a spring sale. So if you go to pipdecks.com, there's 33% off because it was
this guy's birthday.
I was 33 and then we're doing 33% off. So if you've been eyeing these up for a while, now's a chance to get them at a price that is lower than what they're usually at. So in terms of update to the content of the cards, another reason why it takes us so long to write them and to test them and to develop them and all the rest of it is that they've been designed to be timeless. Like there is no tactics or content in here that's going to go out of date. All of the principles in these decks worked 20 years ago and they'll work 20 years from now. So there isn't any kind of trendy or faddy stuff in here.
We don't have like TikTok tactics, you know, like it's.
And we never would do that because I don't see the point in creating something that's going to go out of date. I want to be making stuff that is going to be, you buy it now, you'll be picking it up in 3 to 5 years time and being like, oh yeah, this is still really useful. So that's the kind of philosophy that we have when it comes to product development. Would you look at the above? Did I answer that question?
Oh, what did you miss?
No, I answered those ones. I answered Nikolai's question. If we missed it, just ask it again, because the chat is so shallow that it's easy to miss.
Oh, we've got one on YouTube. I love your decks and use them all. Quick question. I keep using the same cards over and over. What's the best strategy to reset and approach the deck with an open mind for new combinations? I think for me, it's the way that you're using the decks. So we had a customer in one of our events come to us and say what they do. So the way I've always used the deck is I get the deck, I have a problem, I open the card up, I find what my problem is, and then I sort of explore what tactics are available. But we had a customer on our event say what they do is they buy a new deck and then they'll just do a card a day across just under a couple of months. And they treat it as if like they're brushing their teeth. It's just like a habit that they do. And they just sit with the card. And that day they try to apply that card. And I found that such a fascinating and like unique way of using the tactics in a way that it stops you from like being biased towards certain cards. And it really makes you explore certain cards that you don't think not really applicable to me. And then maybe you find that it will be.
This is really annoying advice I give to people with the decks, but like, do just read all of them. Like, do sit down and read a couple a night and just get familiar with what's inside it, because that's the way I use them. It's because I'm so familiar with the cards. I'm like, oh, yeah, that tactic might be really useful right now because I'm aware of it. I think that's an underrated way of getting into Pip Decks is read it like a book. That's fine. Like, read it cover to cover and just get familiar and comfortable with what's in there. So, Umran, you had a question. So the online content is the exact same. The only difference is when you get the app, what you're also getting in the app is every tactic has a video. So the author of that deck has a 3 to 5 minute video that kind of goes deeper on the tactic. So imagine if I was to explain a tactic to you now and kind of walk you through how to do it. That's a video that accompanies every single tactic on that page for the tactic in the app. And also there, more often than not, there is a Miro template, which is digital whiteboard templates for every single tactic in the app as well. So that's the kind of what you don't get with the physical, you do get with the digital, and that's all included. Bavarian Kamena, please ask your question again because I can't find what you're referencing above. Do you also include projects so beginners learn to use these tools in different scenarios, again, some experience?
Well, we've got, I'd say that things like the masterclass that we released recently is us teaching different ways to approach the deck.
Yes, we're doing more of that now. We're starting to develop more kind of scenario-based courses and materials that, you know, we speak to our customers a lot. We kind of hear a lot of the scenarios and problems they're having frequently. And we're starting to create more things around that. We have a guides, which is our blog has a bunch of, there's so much stuff in the blog about
lots of free articles,
how to combine different tactics together and all that sort of thing. So go and check out the blog. There's tons of stuff in there. But there is no substitute than just like trying a card out and seeing what happens.
If you've got a scenario that you're particularly struggling with, drop a question in and we'll talk through it.
I've used them and it's more humanized focus with collaboration. I agree. Great, I love that.
Yeah, we're all about the humans at Pip Decks.
Can you do one dealing with a-holes tactics? You know what?
Negotiation tactics is actually pretty good at that. Like negotiation tactics is like a good way of like dealing with combative people, let's say, and it's a good way to it gives you advice on like how advice like how to center yourself and how to approach it with curiosity rather than attacking them back.
And workshop tactics, again, going back to the whole bad meetings thing, like a-holes. I don't want to say assholes. I'm allowed to say assholes on the internet, on Instagram Live.
Let's find out.
Yeah. That's a great way of like stifling people like that because they have to conform to the kind of structure that you're putting into the meeting. Negotiation tactics is good because it really does force your empathy levels to the max. Like,
and team tactics as well, actually. That's team tactics is all about collaboration, and obviously you're going to collaborate with an arsehole every now and then. So having team tactics give you ways to approach that. I think is really helpful.
Yeah. Let's see. Happy birthday! Thank you so much. Are there any videos on best practice on where to use each card? So you have to elaborate on what you mean by where, like in my living room or in a situation. I'm imagining you mean a situation, but it's hard to answer that question because, like I said, these are tools. If this is a hammer, there are so many different ways you can use a hammer. And without knowing your entire context, only you really know what's going to be the best way to hammer something. You might be building a fence, you might be building a house. This will be used differently by you based on what your needs are. So if you're a manager and you do not have a team and you're not managing anyone, then you might think that this tool is not going to be useful for you. But even if you do buy this tool, it kind of primes you ready, so you already have the tactics kind of embedded before you actually step up to that level. And in fact, it might even give you the confidence to go and say, hey, I'm ready to lead a team now. Can I step up and take someone under my wing? Because there's things in here that are really helpful for new managers. So
it's also worth saying, like we are looking, like we have a lot of free articles on the website, which is more scenario focused and more how to apply them in certain situations. And a lot of the products that we are sort of looking to release in the near future are based around, scenario based. So we recently did stories that sell. So we had a lot of people going, I've got storytell tactics. I love it. I use it for marketing. Can we get some more advice on like how I can actually like use storytellers more in my marketing and sales? So Steve Rawling, the author of Storytell Tactics, created this awesome masterclass with like a workbook and everything. And basically, we're just following what our customers are asking for. Mm. So if you have scenarios that you're like, I really would love to know how to apply this deck to this scenario, join our community, email in. Like we really do listen to you, and we are building products based on the amount of feedback we get. And so if we get enough people asking for a specific scenario to be solved, then we'll make something for it for sure.
Yeah. I got another question here from Bavarian Commander again. Thank you. Who or which role uses Pip Decks when? Managers, product owners, agile coaches, scrum masters, and please not all of them as an answer. Examples, please, mainly as prep or during an actual session. So unfortunately, I have to say yes to all of those, but it depends, obviously. So a really great example is Team Tactics is obviously great if you're in a management position. It shows you how to create good one-to-ones. It shows you how to build psychological safety, which is like the vital ingredient for any high-performing team. Workshop Tactics is very much geared towards the world of product development and product building. Yes, there are workshops that anyone can use, whoever's involved in problem solving, but it is almost like the UX design process disguised as a bunch of workshops. So if you're a product owner, this is very useful at the beginning of a project when you're trying to get all the assumptions about what could go wrong with the project. It's really geared around bringing people into the process so that everyone has skin in the game and awareness of like what you're working on. And it helps you basically test and validate your assumptions and, you know, get the hopes and fears of the team and that kind of thing. So this is very much a team-orientated deck built around kind of agile delivery processes, but it has been expanded in a way that makes it applicable to not just people working in that world. Scrum Masters and like software development, it is a very specific thing that there are maybe some things in here, but like if you're just after stuff about the process of Scrum and the agile development philosophy, there's nothing here that's going to be like exactly on the money for that kind of thing. But if you're a team member or a team leader and you're in the world of solving problems with a team building software, things like innovation tactics, which is over here, this is all about like actually doing good UX research and bringing that to a team and bringing your team along with you. Workshop Tactics is all about bringing your team along in the design and problem solving process. Team Tactics is all about making sure that team is well gelled and aligned. And my belief is it doesn't really matter what your job title is. You have the agency to take on this kind of, you know, change-making processes and culture shifts. This is in your gift to do that, and these are what these decks can help you do.
Love that. We've got a question from Agent Joe Combs. Hello, I'm a student in UX design. I wondered if it's better to get idea tactics or workshop tactics if you want to help out creativity in a small team.
I'm unbiased because I wrote Workshop Tactics, and it's the first deck that we made at Pip Decks, and I'm a UX designer by trade. and I wrote it for other UX designers to run UX workshops. So I would definitely recommend Workshop Tactics. And in second to that is Innovation Tactics. This was nearly called UX Research Tactics, but it's not as sexy. And it really is about, how do you innovate? How do you create new things that people actually want? So this helps you figure out, and it shows you the process of how to go and find out what people really want, not what they say they want, but what they really deep down want, and how to test it with them.
I think that's the thing with innovation. What I really like is that it's not just about coming up with ideas. It's also about innovation helps you validate them as well. And like you can come up with a million ideas, but how do you know which ones are good? And like Innovation Tactics really helps you with that as well.
Yeah, and Workshop Tactics, again, it was created to help my fellow UX colleagues run workshops that helps them create design as a shared capability amongst their team. That's how you become a more influential designer, is when you bring people along the design process with you. Workshop Tactics starts out by helping you understand what is the goal of the team. Like if you don't know what the goal of the team is, or what the project or the goal of the project, then doing anything else might be going in the wrong direction. So there's workshops on how to get clear on that. And then the next section is problems. Like, do you really understand what problem you're solving? Because so many times you'll be in a product development team or a UX team, and you will disagree on like what the actual problem is that you're solving, or the stakeholder thinks it's the right problem, but it's the wrong problem. This helps you get clear on that. And once you've got those two things into place, then it's got the real nitty gritty of how to, what is our biggest assumption? Like, if we build this thing, it's going to solve this problem. And like, well, what happens if it doesn't? How bad is it if we spend 6 months building it and it doesn't work? Really bad. Well, if it's so bad, we should maybe do some little tests to find out if that is the real thing or not. So that's what real UX is. It's this real strategic problem solving, going out and finding out sort of thing. The actual like making stuff and design of things and development of things really happens so far down the road, but people tend to just jump straight to there and think that that's gonna work. So yeah, I would highly recommend Workshop Tactics if you're a UX designer. Also, we provide character sheets of your characters. I asked, so I'd like to do fan art for you, if that is all right. I mean, if you have a deck, then you've got the illustrations. That is the character sheet. So yeah, by all means, do some fan art. I'd love to see it.
And tag us in it. We'll absolutely share that.
I didn't make the Pip Decks art. We hire fantastic illustrators, especially in the world of AI. We will keep making decks with real human beings. Everything written and drawn is created by a real person, believe it or not, way before AI started taking over. Next question. Hi guys, I think I have all the decks except maybe 3 or 4. Then nice. You do not have all the decks because you don't have 3 or 4. Which,
and now's the perfect time to get it. 33% off.
Yes, we have a spring sale. Christialize. Did I say that right? Christy? Yeah, we have a spring sale on right now. So go grab 33% off. It applies automatically in your...
And it's only until Friday.
Yes, it doesn't last for very long. Really enjoying the app as well. Oh, awesome.
Hey, nice. That took us so long.
Yeah.
I put a lot of effort into that.
Yes. And we're going to keep working on it. So if you've got any feedback on the app, please drop it. Email me, Charles at Pip Decks. I'd love to hear how you're getting on with it. And if there's anything you think... I'll play, say, did you see my... I think I answered your question about the fan art. Yes.
Is there one in the questions?
Oh, yeah, I've got a little notification. Yeah, I answered that one, the character sheet. Yeah. Any more in here? Oh, the student of UX design. Christy Elise. Did I say that right?
That's in the beta group for the app.
Oh, nice. Awesome. Do you deliver to Central America, Panama? I don't think so, but if you want Pip Decks, you can get the digital version. We don't ship to Brazil, I know that much, so that might cover that kind of whole region, just because we don't have any operations there. So and import duty is huge. So we could open it up, but it means that people order it and then they have to pay like 3 times the price just to get it delivered, and it's a massive headache. I
like the next question. What do you guys do? What's your occupation? I'm new here. I mean, this is a great chance to kind of like explain what Pip Decks is. I mean, overall.
What is Pip Decks? So if you don't know, Pip Decks, we make tools for people in business, entrepreneurs, professionals, and they are systemized toolkits to help you do stuff. So if you're trying to lead a negotiation, we have negotiation tactics. If you're trying to run better meetings or solve problems together as a team, we have workshop tactics. If you're trying to bring new products to market, we have innovation tactics. If you're trying to lead or manage a team, we have team tactics. If you're trying to build a brand and actually stand out in a very noisy marketplace, we have brand tactics, which really should be called brand strategy tactics. But we already have strategy tactics, which is if you're a business owner, this will really help you give you a clear direction on answering those tricky questions of like, am I doing the right thing? Should I stop doing this? Should I buy this or build it? There's a load of kind of strategy related things in there. And then our bestseller storyteller tactics, like if you're in the world of marketing or persuading people or keeping people's attention.
Or even C-suite running presentations at work as well.
And storyteller tactics is the one. If you're writing an email, you can apply storytelling principles to that email to make sure someone opens it, reads it, understands it, and acts on it. So that's a really important one. And then our latest deck, copywriting tactics. This really goes deeper into the world of storytelling, but it shows you how to actually craft the right words to make people do stuff.
What would you say is the most underrated deck out of them all? What do you say the one that people like? You're like, I wish more people would get it.
Innovation tactics.
Interesting,
easily.
Yeah.
Because this is like if you actually go and apply all of these tactics in earnest over a period of time, what I'm trying to say here is that the process I built Pip Decks on is probably captured in here in terms of how to go and find your first customers, how to know that you're building the right thing, how to test it and develop it so that it is a valuable thing that people want to buy before wasting loads of money building the wrong thing. So most people think innovation is this quite vague buzzword, but really it's just about making things people want and they'll pay for. And this is a process on how to find out how to do that.
Because would you say there is a mistake in sort of new entrepreneurs of like building something that they want and they kind of forget the market and where their product might sit?
Yeah, sometimes that can work, but sometimes, most of the time it doesn't, because if you're too focused on making something for yourself, the only way a business can scale is, does the market actually want it? So you might make something for yourself that solves your own problem. Marketing is a way of helping, marketing as a discipline is a way of helping you find the people want what you've got. And if you don't follow a process in trying to find those people, or you're not clear enough on really what problem you're solving, or you think you're solving a problem, but it's not a real problem, or is a problem not big enough that people would pay money for it? Like, you need to find these things out early enough so you don't waste months and thousands of pounds or dollars going down the wrong garden path. So that's innovation tactics is probably the best bang for your buck in terms of time wasted and money saved doing the wrong thing when you're building new products and services. So I definitely say innovation tactics is the most underrated one.
I see. Mine, I think, is brand tactics here. And I think the reason why, like you kind of mentioned that, I think when people see this, they think it's, how to make a nice logo, how to choose your color scheme and things like that. But it's not. It's about brand strategy. It's about finding sort of what we were just discussing there a little bit in terms of like, how do you position yourself? How do you make yourself different and stand out and, not trapped in amongst your competitors? And I think it's just taught me, the author, Alex Smith, is a genius. Like the stuff that he's come out with and the ideas that he has, I think will stand the test of time. I think people don't appreciate his knowledge, and I think it's all in here. And I think if you are coming up with if you're an entrepreneur and you've got this idea, or you're struggling to find your customers, I think get brand tactics. It's an amazing way to find your market, figure out what you really do. I think, just a small lesson in it is, a lot of people think when they start a product, they want to make the best version of something. And actually brand tactics shows you that it's not about being the best. It's actually be different. Like, don't try to be the best shoe, be the different kind of shoe. If everyone's doing trainers, do clogs, like, really make yourself stand out. Oh, I'm loving these filters.
I don't know how I would listen. I would have been listening to you, but I have messed up the filters.
You've got a filter on.
How do I turn it off?
I think you just swipe to left. Go left.
Remove effects. There we go. Remove.
Oh, thank goodness.
I was going to say something. What was I going to say?
We were talking about brand strategy and how brand tactics are different.
Yeah.
About positioning.
Oh, there was a question. It wasn't really a question, but someone said, "Don't judge a book by its cover, but these covers look really good." Like, that is definitely intentional. The reason why they look so good is because we want them to stand out. Like, that's the reason good brands are so effective, is that they don't necessarily try and be better or improve on what already exists. They try and find a space in the market that something that Alex talked about in brand tactics is, what are you willing to sacrifice that other people aren't willing to sacrifice, and what are you willing to do to stand out? So the principle behind the cover art for Pip Decks is that we want this to stand out on someone's desk at work. Like, that's where we started with the design of it. And in a corporate world of like very serious topics like negotiation and workshopping, you tend to associate business with very kind of stale, safe aesthetics and visuals. And what happens if you go the other way? What happens if you do the opposite? Not better, but just completely different. So the whole idea of standing out is, we work backwards from that when we were designing the boxes. So we've got, if you just joined, we have a 33% off sale today.
Pipdecks.com.
Ends on Friday.
Yeah.
It was my 33rd birthday. That's why we're doing 33% off. And now's a chance. If you've been thinking about getting a Pip Deck, or if you have any questions about which one you think you should get, we're here to answer those questions. Yeah, there's so much in here that you could definitely buy them all and be using them for the next 10 years to help you develop your professional skills, to be developing your own business, going from, building new products and testing them out with innovation tactics, to then building a brand around the product you've created. In effect, we've created a suite of tools that we ended up using ourselves to build Pip Decks. So we really are, whilst we do have things geared towards professionals, running workshops, negotiating, managing a team, there's this undercurrent throughout Pip Decks, which is we're all about helping people create stuff and knowing what tools are available, because there's so much stuff out there. Like, the whole reason we exist is to curate expert knowledge into a system that is just intuitive to use. Like, we designed these not to death, but just to the right amount that you can pick it up, get inspired by it, and actually have instructions that you can then put into action to help you actually achieve something.
So let's say someone's completely new here and they go, okay, so it's a deck of cards about storytelling. So what is it? Just you open the box up and there's just a bunch of cards, or what's the system that kind of ties it all together?
Yeah, so let me open up. Let me see if I can just share this on YouTube as well. Oh, there's an old beta card there. So we have, in every deck, there is the system card or a category finder card. You can see that there, YouTube. You can see that there, Instagram. So there we go. So the way into the deck is this card. And it's a very simple flow system. And these are the categories. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 categories. And that corresponds with the colors on the cards. And the first question it asks you is, do you know why you need a story? So you might have opened this box up being like, what is storyteller tactics? Why do I need a story? And it's like, well, why do you need a story? If you don't know that, you go to the concept category. And there's a bunch of tactics in there that's going to help you firstly understand why you do need a story, and secondly, what that story is going to do for you. And then you can start seeing, like, right, okay, I think that's going to help me solve this problem with whatever you're doing, whether you're trying to build a landing page, you're trying to put a presentation together, you've got a pitch where you're trying to raise investment. This is why you need a story. Stories are kind of a part of the DNA of how we communicate. I'm telling you the story now about how the deck works, right?
Do you want to talk through a tactic? Like, this is from the concept. So let's say you went there and you ask yourself, do I know why you need the story? No. So then we've got this one here.
So the Dragon and City, this is all about explaining your project. So if you have a project and or you're trying to influence people to buy into an idea, this is a great way of using a mythical story of a dragon in a city to convey what it really is about, and getting people so excited that they want to move into action. So there's a dragon outside the city walls. Your world is no longer safe. What should you do? So you can either escape, find a safer place to live, defend, strengthen the city walls, or attack, take on the dragon before he gets stronger. Each option has risks and rewards, just like your project. And then it asks you a series of questions which helps you formulate a very kind of rough narrative that you can then take and apply that to just how you talk in conversation. You can apply it to a presentation in a very thematic and narrative-driven way. But the point of stories is that after someone's been through your presentation, they're going to think, oh, yeah, we need to defend the city. And they're applying that metaphor to the real thing that you're talking about. For example, I did a presentation like this when I was contracting a bank, and I was trying to get everyone to buy into the UX design process and about the importance of prototyping. And I told a story about a dragon and how this dragon kept burning the city down. And so they decided to make a javelin to kill the dragon. But they only made one javelin, and they only had one chance to use it. And the javelin broke when it hit the dragon, and then the dragon killed everyone. And the moral of the story was, you need to test your ideas before you commit to building them and putting them out into the real world. So what should have happened? They should have made 100 javelins, fired them at brick walls, see if they penetrated them. So this is like just a very quick way into discovering why storytelling is so powerful when you apply it.
I actually did a bit of research on this for an email that we sent out. And I found there was a study in the 1980s, a Stanford study, where they got students, they gave them a 1 minute to give 1 minute persuasive talk. Each one included 3 statistics and 1 story. So the teacher went up, presented to students a 1 minute persuasive story, had 3 facts and 1 story in it. Only 5% recalled a single statistic, but 63% remembered the stories. And that's just how sticky and memorable stories can be. So if you want your idea remembered, if you want to be remembered by your bosses and your co-workers, tell stories.
Exactly, yeah. People don't remember facts and figures. They remember stuff that happened that they can visualize, like by playing a little movie in their head. That's why stories work. If I told you that my dog threw up in the kitchen the other day, you can immediately visualize that in your mind. But if I told you that 50 milliliters of a certain fluid was, on the kitchen floor, and it came out of a dog, like just saying it in that way is A, boring, and B, doesn't visually kind of get that. I don't know why I do the dog vomit thing.
You've done that. That's like maybe the second or third time.
The dog vomit example, my dog just is sick of
my dog vomits all the time.
Yeah. Such a fascinating innovation. I mean, the thing about Pip Decks is innovation is a funny one. Innovation is combining things that already exist into new things. Recipe cards are not a new thing. People have been creating cards with recipes on for like lasagna and whatnot for decades. And people do put business information on card decks, but no one's taken it as seriously as us until now.
That's it.
And no one's thought how. The email audience think it's 3 p.m. Okay. So people don't necessarily. What was I talking about?
That the amount of effort that we put into.
Yes. So no one would think, put cartoon characters on them, or spend a year making sure that every word is absolutely essential on every back of every card because it's got to fit on the card.
I mean, that's the thing. I think, like, not to throw shade at any competitors, but like, quite often what we'll see is they'll sell cards, but the cards will be like absolutely stacked full of text, and it becomes pointless. It becomes like, why don't you just write a book in the end? Like, we really do cut it down to the absolute, to the bone, to the absolute necessity. So, unearthing your brand's root to build a story that feels real. You're like, oh yeah, you can write a whole book about that. And then that's what you see there. Like, we try to make it easy to read, something that you could grab. Like, we've had stories with storyteller tactics and workshop tactics. So someone's gone, I had like 15 minutes to prepare a presentation or to do a workshop. I didn't know what I would do. And then all they did was grab a few cards and piece something together. Like, we want you to be able to use these in action. They're not something that you scurry away and then you spend 3 years researching and getting stuck in all the theory. It's something that you learn while you do it.
Yeah, people will stick them up on their whiteboards or have them in front of their computer. So it's just a reminder, this is the thing I need to try and do today. And then you've got the instructions on the back that, there are prompts, they can just inspire you to do something, and you can go and take away that, almost like a recipe, like, right, okay, I get what the ingredients are, let me just go and cook. Or if you're like me and you want to follow a recipe exactly, so you want to get what the recipe giver was intending, you can do that as well. We had a question about workshopping from Dashil Wolf. Question: if I want to host workshops for a group of people who aren't on the same team, which deck would you recommend? A workshop's a workshop.
Yeah.
Whether you're in a team that's together or not, it depends what kind of workshop you're running. Like, is it a problem-solving workshop? Is it something marketing related? It depends what you're trying to do. So if you can give me more information about what you're trying to do.
Yeah, because team tactics actually help with that. That has tactics in there about disparate teams.
Yeah. So team tactics, like if you're talking about teams in general, there is a lot of cross-team and cross-discipline stuff in team tactics. And whilst workshop tactics is called workshop tactics, there are workshops in team tactics as well. Like, this isn't just the only deck that has workshop related stuff in it.
I mean, a lot of them do, don't they?
I mean, people take stuff from brand tactics and build their own brand strategy workshops, even though they aren't explicitly always like, here's how to run this exact brand workshop. Hi, I've been an avid Pip Decks fan for years. Nice. Are there recipe cards that work across the decks yet or coming soon? Hey, John Cagle. So we have a few blog posts
a few articles, yeah.
And a few guides that do show how to cross-pollinate different cards from different decks. We are starting to release more workbooks now. So we recently released the Standout Strategy Blueprint, which takes cards from brand tactics and it takes cards from strategy tactics, and it basically helps you build. Where the hell is strategy tactics? And that workbook helps you build out a standout brand strategy, combining the kind of brains of the business and the mouthpiece of your brand to kind of couple that together. And that's something that we're really focusing on this year, is how do we help you get more out of the decks you already have. So really great to hear that you've been a fan for 3 years now. Like, you've probably been a fan since the start then. We've not been around for, I think it's 5-6 years now. Around. So,
but it's worth saying that because each deck is so systematized, that they do quite naturally, like we have people send stuff in, being like, oh, I use this tactic from Copywriting Tactics, like find that with brand, and actually I use a little bit of strategy tactics, and then boom, I've got myself a marketing strategy going on. Mm-hmm. Because we try to keep it so like they work really well with each other, that they're, the way that a storyteller tactic is made and the way a workshop tactic is made is the same. Like, you'll see it, that everything fits in the same place. You're not, it doesn't feel like disparate things that you're trying to smash together.
When is Copywriting Tactics coming to Amazon? I don't think there's any plans as yet. Maybe it's going to be online in the next few weeks on Amazon, but it's available now on our website, and there's 33% off right now. If you go to pipdecks.com, it applies to your cart automatically because it's my 33rd birthday. I'm running a spring sale for my birthday. For my birthday, I guess so. So yeah, if you want to get it, now's the time to get it. We won't be doing a discount on Amazon, so this is the best price. You'll probably get it all year. But I love Copywriting Tactics. It's
an awesome deck. It's also worth saying, like, you aren't able to get like the digital extra stuff when you buy it from Amazon as well. Like, if you get the complete package, which includes the physical deck and the digital deck, you then unlock access to the app, which gives you searchable and savable cards. You can watch the tutorials that we've included. We've got Miro templates to be able to run the sessions with your team. And you can't get that because we're unable to attach a digital product to Amazon.
Yeah, definitely worth getting it with us. Creative and personal development workshops. I've noticed a lot of the cards only work when the group is on a team together. In my case, everyone works in different industries.
Well, we've had consultants use, we have a lot of consultants use our cards to run workshops in many, many different industries.
In terms of like the specific kinds of workshops you're running, like, I suppose it's probably clear to get on the same page about what we mean by workshops. So there is the workshop that helps train a bunch of people to do something, but then there's a workshop which brings people together to solve a problem following a structure or a framework. These kinds of workshops are not about training people. They're about coming together and solving a problem. These are all problem-solving tools. So I don't know if that's the kind of realm you're in. But in terms of like creative workshops, we have idea tactics for kind of idea generation. This is all about, getting inspiration, building ideas and testing them out. For personal development,
I'd say productivity tactics.
yeah, there's probably something in productivity tactics around personal development in terms of actually your practice as a professional and not burning out
and what you want to do as well. I really love there's a tactic called Ikigai, which is like finding that balance between what you want from the world, the life you want to lead, what your skill sets are, what the world needs, and you create this like amazing, like you kind of are able to pinpoint where you could exist, and it's a really grounding great practice, which I've used before. It's been great.
Christy said, I enjoy working through the standout strategy workbook to help think through the pivot to my, that's amazing to hear, to work through the pivot to my small business. That's awesome. Honestly, that kind of feedback is so useful for us. It really helps.
And anyone that wants to know about the standout strategy blueprint, I will probably relaunch that towards the second half of the year.
Yes. We've got a question here from Lekarides. How's it? And hello from Cape Town. I have two questions, if I may. Which set would be best for YouTube video script creation? And if you can get a physical set to us here in South Africa? I think we ship to South Africa. I will double check after this live. I'll go and make sure that that's enabled. But in terms of developing video scripts, I would definitely point you towards, firstly, probably storyteller tactics, because the most interesting videos on YouTube are stories. They start out with an inciting incident, a problem, a character, and they take you through a journey. And that's what stories are. And it's showing a journey of transformation. And storyteller tactics gives you the frameworks and structures to help you do that. And then copywriting tactics will help you actually write the words that, if you're using a teleprompter or a script that you're reading from, it will help you create something that is enjoyable to read, that gets people through that story and makes an engaging video. Yes, Ikigai is a perfect example. Thank you for the pointers. I've got the whole set. Oh, amazing. And I'm a huge fan of your cards and your whole company. Brilliant design, and happy birthday. Thank you so much.
Love that.
That's made my birthday.
Bob on YouTube asked, will this be available as a replay? Yeah, on our YouTube channel it will be. So if you're watching this on Instagram, we haven't really used Instagram Live before, so I don't know if this exists as a replay, but on YouTube it will. So if you want to catch this from a slightly different angle, just get yourself to YouTube, and this replay will be available.
Are we staying on for another hour?
We could do another 30 minutes.
Yeah, because is there a bunch of people coming at 3?
Apparently.
Right. Okay. Cool. Well, we're going to stick around then. I'm going to grab a drink, and then.
Oh yeah. Well, I'll do someone's talking about Ikigai, and that was my favorite tactic. So I can waffle about that.
Yes, Ikigai is a perfect example.
Yeah, Ikigai is a perfect one. Thank you for the pointers. I've got the whole set, and I'm a huge fan of your cards. Oh yeah, nice, amazing, beautiful. I guess I'll talk through copywriting tactics, seeing as our latest deck. We had the launch recently, and yeah, I absolutely adore this deck. It's so good. It has so much of what we've learned growing Pip Decks from as such a small team. Like, I think some people kind of think that we're bigger than we actually are, and I think that's partly because we're able to create such innovative marketing, and that a big part of that comes from copyright tactics. So you might not know what like copywriting actually is, or you might think it's a bit icky or whatever, but basically copywriting is, if you go on a landing page, if you go on a website, if you read an ad, it's the copy that exists on that. And copyright tactics, it shows you our methods of creating copy that is super compelling, because what you probably find and what you see on a lot of websites, and people make a lot of mistakes when it comes to copywriting. Or what's happening now is a lot of people go to AI, go to ChatGPT and say, write me good copy for my website, and then they post the most bland, boring copy. That the problem with copywriting is it you can look at copy and like if you like wince, it like looks fine. Like you're like, yeah, there's the headline, there's the sub headline, like there's the thing that explains what I do. The problem with just because it kind of looks like copy doesn't mean it performs. And you know, we are of a strong belief that all copywriting should lead to sales. Like, you know, you're not just, otherwise you're just wasting everyone's time. And it should be showing people, you know, that you understand their problem, that you have a solution, and that is worth their time and effort. So with the copywriting tactics, we'll just quickly go through the categories. So you can see on the newer decks, we've got this beautiful like rainbow colors. So in fact, yeah, I'll talk through that. So you've actually got a few more cards in the newest decks. I think the same with negotiation tactics, where we actually show you different ways to get started as well. And this again based on customer feedback that people want to know, like the different ways they get started. So we've got 4 different ways there. Then we've also got the category finder, and then we've got shortcuts as well, like just really quick ways to just like dive into the deck. So with the category finder, you can see that. So we've got categories. So we've got, do you understand the basics of persuasive writing? No. We'll go to principles. So this is a great way, like if you're an entrepreneur, if you're trying to grow a new business, if you've got a little side hustle or something, this is a great way to get started. Then if you do know that, we'll go to the next question. Do you know who you're writing for? No, go to the audience card. So, you know, the secret behind copywriting is that you really need to know who your audience is. Otherwise your copy isn't going to work. If you try to sell to everyone, you sell to no one. So then the next one is, do you understand the bigger picture you're writing about? No, and that's the context. So this is the research. This is, where does your product exist in the market? Where are your customers? What are their problems? Again, so much of this deck is about research, and that really is the secret behind good marketing and good copywriting. Then we've got, have you got a snappy name or headline? We love naming. Like you probably see, like every single product that we release, we're obsessed with good naming conventions, either being fun, interesting, but also super clear. You know, workshop tactics, it's pretty clear that it's going to give you a bunch of good tactics for running good workshops. Then we've got next one is, have you already written some copy? Probably not. No. So then it shows you how to create it. And then finally, have you got a distinct and appropriate tone of voice? So I think a lot of, especially new marketers and new entrepreneurs, get a bit stuck on what's my tone of voice? What's my vibe? What's my kind of brand? And that sort of stuff, I would say you uncover. Like you can try to decide what you think your tone of voice is and who you are and blah, blah, blah. But it only really happens just by just constantly creating organic videos, ads, landing pages, tweaking your website copy. Like you don't decide what your voice is. I think you discover it. So yeah, there's copywriting tactics. I absolutely love it. I'm a bit biased because I'm the director of marketing at Pip Decks, but it is a fantastic deck if you are an entrepreneur or marketer. If you can see how sweaty my face is, it is incredibly warm in the UK. I'm just going to see if we've got any questions coming up. No, well, if you want to chuck any questions or anything that you're struggling with, we've got another one on YouTube. What's the most underrated deck? We kind of went through it of Charles believes that innovation tactics is the most underrated deck, because I think people get lost with the buzzwordiness of it. Basically, it's like, here's how to make products that people actually want. Because quite often people make products or go into business because they just like an idea. I want to be this, so therefore I will do it. And then suddenly they spend thousands of pounds getting that all set up, and then no one wants to buy it. They haven't tested it. And yeah, so innovation is great. And I think Charles is back. We haven't.
Roger, well, yeah.
Oh, sorry, mate. Try to think of any of the decks that we haven't given enough time to. I think team tactics might be an interesting one to dive into, like just to sort of show like what's inside.
Any questions popping up in here?
No.
Yeah, drop your questions in the chat. I'll be happy to answer them. If you've been following us for a while and you've been wondering what deck should I get, there's so many, I don't know which one to get. This is why we're here. This is what we're doing. We're walking you through all the decks. So if there's a particular deck you're interested in, by the way, our South African friend in the chat, we do ship to South Africa. So you can go and buy right now from the sale. We've got 33% off. Ends on Friday. It's 33% off because it's my birthday. Yeah. I was 33. It wasn't today. It was the other day. But ends on Friday. We're going to talk about team tactics. So the thing about... Have you answered that one already?
No, that's you. Can't wait to get copywriting tactics, but I have to know what Oh, what's that?
What the gold deck is in the background.
Oh,
We can't tell you about that. We can't tell you about.
Doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist.
Don't look at it. Just get rid of it. That's a secret. You didn't see that, okay? That's secret. Shh. And there's a tactic in storyteller tactics called secrets and puzzles that we just used there to create curiosity around.
Team tactics is definitely underrated. Trying to utilize it with my team at the moment in increments. Great way to do it. Great way to do it is incrementally just give it a try. I've used team tactics. Yeah. I absolutely adore the one-to-one tactic because I used to do one-to-ones and they were probably a bit naff. And it was just sort of like a team would turn up and I'd be like, all right, what do you want to talk about? And this one-to-one session is a really great way. And it comes with a mirror template and a video. And what was great is that I read the card. And this is not even that long ago. But I read the card, was like, okay, I think I get it, but I want a bit more clarification. So then I went onto the app, I watched the video, and I was like, oh, I think I get a bit more now. And then we had the mirror template where basically my one-to-one session was just prepared. So 5 minutes beforehand, I just got the mirror template up and running. My team member joined, and then we just chatted through it. And it was so seamless. Like, even though I work here, I was like, oh, that was surprisingly seamless.
Yeah, and as a business owner that then found himself with a team, in my career as a UX designer, I hated being in a one-to-one with my boss or my manager. It always felt very contrived, and I was like, well, what is the point of one-to-ones? And when I started my own business, and then I had employees with Pip Decks, I still had this kind of allergic reaction to one-to-ones. But I then, again, through team tactics, discovered that actually I was just doing them wrong. I had the wrong end of the stick with what one-to-ones were. And this tactic really guides you through how to do it in such a way that actually makes you feel good as the person running the one-to-one, but also makes the person on the receiving end feel like it's actually a valuable use of their time. And that's just one of so many tactics in team tactics. Like Maker Time is really great if your calendar is all over the place with your team and people are just saying, like, we don't have time to do anything. This is all about trying to segregate your time between Maker Time and meeting time. So it's got very straightforward structure on how to do that. And you've got the templates that accompany it as well. What other ones in team tactics are really good? I mean, team tactics really was also built around product teams and design teams, but these team principles apply to all kinds of teams. We even had he's been sacked now, unfortunately, but the Huddersfield football manager bought team tactics and was using team tactics with his football team, would you believe it or not? So yeah, we have people at NASA and the US Army, Amazon and Google and Facebook are using Pip Decks. We had someone on from Workday before. So yeah, you name them, they have Pip Decks. We've got 250,000 customers. So if you're coming across this and be like, who the hell are these guys and what right do they have to be selling card decks with cartoon characters on? They're used by serious companies in serious situations. And it blows my mind that this is something that we've built. But because we've just followed a very simple principle of make really, really useful frameworks and structures, put them into a nice, not just nice, but beautiful, high quality. They're so nice and heavy and just feel really nice. People love nice things. Why don't people make more nice things? I don't know. And you tie all that together and you make things that solve people's real problems, then that's what we've got. We've created an amazing thing. And I think, that if there's little secret things in here, I don't know if you can see in there very well, but there's lots of little secret Easter eggs hidden all over the decks. We have fun with it. We have fun at the same time as making seriously serious content that
but I think that's a great example of a tactic that we've taken from brand tactics, which is don't be better, be different. Mm-hmm. And most business advice, most business gurus and that kind of stuff is dry. And it's very serious and it's very it's just super dry. And then along we come with cartoon characters and a bit of playfulness and a bit of silliness and a bit of fun. And I think because we are different from so much business advice out there, that's how we managed to reach this level of success. So like we really do, and I know you hate the phrase, we really do eat our own dog food. Yeah, this is much better than dog food.
Which one would help me the most with blog crafting? So I would definitely point you towards storyteller tactics, because like whilst a good blog post tends to be very information heavy in terms of trying to show someone something or teach someone something, if you weave a story into that either at the beginning or end or throughout the whole thing, using some simple structure cards.
Yeah, that's what I was going to suggest.
These are
like you've got an example here. So we show you how to fail. Like one of the most interesting things, and the thing that people like, you kind of forget how fascinating.
Is this reversed for us or just them?
Hopefully just for us. It works on there. Either way, epic fail is a card that teaches you how to tell a story about you failing. Because in terms of storytelling, like failures are the most interesting, and for learning, they are the most like data-rich thing that you can do. You learn a lot from how you fail, and you learn a lot from how other people fail. So, instantly you've got yourself a really good blog post there. But you've also got things like Voyage and Return, about going for an adventure and then coming back with what you've learned. You see a lot of like LinkedIn posts are a bit like that. Like, I went out and did this. Here are the 3 things that I learned. There's Voyage and Return. You've got your innovation curve as well, which is like how you make your sort of bold ideas seem less risky. And this is another one that's really great for marketing as well. Like if you want to, have your sort of wild ideas taken seriously, use innovation curve. And I think we probably do that quite a lot as well. Like there's another tactic in brand tactics called normalizing the weird or weirding the normal. And it's like, we know that being a card deck is like, slightly quirky thing to do. So then how do we present it in a way that people who may be a bit averse to the kind of weirdness take it seriously? And again, I think we do really well at that.
Is John Cagle asks, is there any meeting strategy builder to stack and prep agendas for these tactics per chance, like stacking multiple tactics for a 90 to 120 minute meeting? Yeah, so John, I don't know if you have Pip Decks already, but there are recipe cards in every deck, and they show you how to combine multiple tactics together to make a bigger session. So
there's workshop tactics.
So for example, in workshop tactics, there's a recipe called Get Unstuck, and kind of what it says on the tin, a way of probing a team or project to figure out what's going wrong. So sometimes it can feel like you're stuck. This session critically assesses what's going wrong and helps you find out what your options are to get unstuck before agreeing on a viable solution. And then on the back, you can see it draws upon these 5 different tactics that you need to follow in a sequence in order to carry out that workshop. So then you go and find Sailboat, you go and find 5 Whys, and you'd run Sailboat first. And it kind of gives you an indication that this is like a 3 to 4 hour thing. So you might split that across 2 days. The time's only an indication. Like it really depends on how many people are in those sessions. But the recipes are a way of stacking the tactics together to help you build out a longer, more kind of involved session. But the recipe cards also show you that that's possible. You can combine things together in a sequence and make your own recipes. And that's something that we're going to be doing more of in terms of like the articles and guides that we're putting out on the website, are kind of more ways to show you how to combine the tactics in different sequences to achieve different outcomes. Hi, I'm Tim. I missed intros. You two, the founders. Yes, we are. Pip Deck started 6 years ago with workshop tactics, which is
that's strategy. It's here
with no lid, which was a card deck I made, which is the first card deck, to give you a bunch of different structures and prompts to run workshops with your team. And they're all about solving problems. And this was in the face of people running really bad meetings and just getting stuck in them and nothing really happening. When if you run just a really short structured meeting where you're actually getting people writing things down instead of speaking out loud, you're following a process, you can actually have outcomes and outputs from meetings rather than leaving a meeting feeling like, all right, so what are we doing? Like this actually gives you like, oh, wow, that was great. Now we can move on with what we're doing. So workshop tactics is full of problem solving workshops.
Because I think that's it. I think it's really interesting with meetings where it's like they almost became this resistant that all meetings are useless. And that's just not true. I think a lot of meetings are useless, but that's because they're poorly planned. And I think that what I liked about workshop tactics was that because I definitely before when I, in previous jobs, I would have definitely believed that all meetings were a waste of time. And that's because it was someone 5 layers up just wanting us to essentially compliment them and just say, yeah, we're doing a good job. And it never got anything done. And you'd sit in these meetings for an hour and literally you'd be like, I don't know why I was here. And that's what I love about workshop tactics. And the meetings that we do have at Pip Decks, they always have an outcome. If it feels like a meeting isn't going anywhere, we can just end it.
Sometimes that's the best thing you can do is realize I have no valuable input to this meeting. It's okay to leave. So we've got a question from Dashil again. Thank you so much for your question. I bought the Ultimate Bundle and just realized I don't have negotiation tactics. So yes, the Ultimate Bundle is getting bigger over time. What's the primary use case for negotiation tactics? So whilst it's called negotiation tactics, and it's all about reaching win-win situations, I'm not going to get too political here, but unlike Trump, who's trying to find a win-lose situation with the tariffs, this is all about finding win-win and cooperative outcomes with your counterpart. So I don't know, you could be negotiating a real estate deal, you could be negotiating a salary, you could be negotiating terms of an agreement for a piece of work you're doing. This is all about you and your counterpart reaching a good outcome together. Now, the trick with negotiation is that negotiating is like the last 5%. 95% of this deck is about building trust and relationships in order to have a productive negotiation. So even if you don't do any negotiating, this is going to help you build stronger relationships, build trust with your clients, with your teammates. And it's written by a real life, currently practicing hostage negotiator whose lives are dependent on her building trust with someone who's taken someone hostage and then effectively negotiating the safe return of that hostage. And she has a 99% success rate over 700 instances, which is insane. And she's negotiated with the worst organizations that you could even think to name, which I'm not going to name them out loud. And she's put all of her, with our help, she's put her brain into a box for you to use.
But it's not just for, she does hostage negotiation, but she also supports businesses as well and trains businesses to improve their negotiation skills as well. Because whilst it might seem like, wow, hostage negotiation, like business negotiation, they sound like very, very different things. You're required to do very different things. The answer actually is no. Like there is a lot of similarities, things like, we've got some examples, like even just things like listening, negotiation. People think that it's all about yelling your point, getting your point across, making that, kind of essentially berating that person down. But actually a lot of the times it's about listening to what the person actually wants. So you might be in a business deal, or let's say you're communicating with a team. We've had a few questions about like different teams. So let's say you want to get a piece of software live, but the engineer team are like, it can't be done. You might go, they're just going against me. I need to win this. We need to get this thing out. If you actually listen, you might realize that, there is burnout going on in their team. They're, looking for a promotion. There'll be a million different ways of like why this scenario is happening. And you won't get there if you just see them as a combatant, if you see them as the opposition. But this kind of win-win methodology means that you actually listen, you get to see like what the reality actually is in your negotiation. I think that's huge. Like I really do.
It's all about, negotiation really is about an act of discovery and finding out information. And the only way to do that is to listen. So the way the system works inside negotiation tactics, I know someone said, so they like the sound of negotiation tactics, so I'm going to dive into it a little bit quickly. So the way it works is the first category is, do you understand the basics of negotiation? If no, head to the principles. So there's like I've got a card here. I've misplaced it now. It's here. The golden rules of negotiation, 7 principles of influence, that kind of thing. So understand what actually makes a negotiation work. And then we've got the active listening category. So have you honed your listening skills? If no, go to active listening.
It has a whole category. That's how important listening is in negotiation.
Like if you actually listen to someone, it requires actual concerted energy, and it can be quite tiring. But that's what active listening is. You're actually processing what's being said. And then have you gathered all the information you need? If no, go to research. So there's an entire category about how to research. So
you've got things like your own personal biases or the biases that your team might have that might sabotage negotiation. That's things like, you might have a bias that that person is bad. They're not doing what I want them to do.
If you're negotiating with someone like ISIS, for example, you're already on the back foot with your bias towards them based on what they've done in the past, right? And it takes an incredible amount of skill as a hostage negotiator to actually kind of remove that bias and work with that person in an unbiased way, because it's the only way you're actually going to have a chance of success with a positive outcome, is if you strip all that away and actually try and, as hard as it sounds, and this is the extreme case, but build empathy with a terrorist, right? It sounds insane, but this is where it's working backwards from. And now if you kind of scale that down and like build empathy with a boss that's not giving you a raise, now you can start to see how it can become quite an effective principle.
And from the empathy, actually, there's another one in research, which is crank the levers. There's always more to a negotiation than good money or getting your own way. And so this is like things like, if you're trying to get a pay rise and your boss is unable to give it to you, there might be a legitimate reason, and you won't get your pay rise either way. So then really it's a question of like, okay, what can you get then? Like, could you drop down to a 4-day week? Could you get some training instead? Like
there's a whole card about concessions. So, strategically giving something up, knowing that, and if it's something that you can give up for free and you've given a concession early on, then that gives you a bit of ammunition in the negotiation later on. So that deck is fantastic. I mean, we're obviously biased. All the decks are fantastic. Otherwise, we wouldn't be selling them. And there's a reason why we only have 10. Is like we only wanted to attack topics that A, are going to be super valuable to you as a professional or a business owner or an entrepreneur, and B, that are going to be something that stands the test of time. I love the Team Tactics deck. Very useful when engaging and understanding your team better. Plus, the quality of the cards justifies the price. I appreciate that. When I first, you're getting this all wrong. Look at that. Look at this hybrid.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to get it all.
That you've made.
I've made that wrong. Yeah.
When we first set out making Pip Decks, the first one, Workshop Tactics, I wanted to create it at the highest quality possible, and I didn't care how much that would cost. And then, so I suppose I stumbled upon creating a premium product because I didn't want to cheap out on anything. So they are super high quality, really heavy. 400 GSM matte finish card. I could bore you about all the technical details. Is there a deck that you recommend for Toastmasters clubs? If you're familiar with Toastmasters.
Oh yeah. It's storytell tactics. It's like got to be. It's I mean, Toastmasters, I'd argue, is just it's a form of storytelling. Any presentation can be improved with storytelling. I think some people go like, oh, do I have to start everything with like once upon a time and yada yada yada? No. You can present something informative, but when you present a piece of new information, if you then just present another new piece of information and then another new piece of information, you just overwhelm your listeners. So stories give you this great way to just, for your audience, to just like catch their breath and maybe get like a bit of context. Like you can use examples or case studies or personal stories or allegories. Like there's a million ways that you can convey your point in stories. It's not just all once upon a time fairy tale sort of stuff. 100% storyteller tactics. It's so good for your sort of presentations and toasts and things like that. Look at that tower.
Just block us out from the stream.
Completely. Is there a Pip deck for economy and financial strategy?
No,
there isn't. That's very specific. But there is. Oh God.
Sorry.
There is strategy tactics, which, whilst won't dive into the actual like economics, is a interesting way to kind of weather chaos. Like it really does help you sort of figure out what steps you might need to take to weather chaos, basically.
It's strategy is a funny one because some people think strategy is a plan or a goal, but strategy is all about what you decide to do as well as what you decide to not do. So for example, if you're a football team, your strategy for a game might be to play on the defensive and attack on the counter-attack. Like that is an actual strategy, a very basic one that actually determines what you're going to do and what you're not going to do. People tend to think strategy is this list of stuff that like, oh, we're an innovative company and our strategy is to make products that people like, and just very generic and vague. Strategy tactics forces you into deciding, are you going left or right here? Are you going to buy this software or are you going to build it yourself? And there's definitely probably crossover in the financial and economic world, given that that is very decision based. So it's really about making decisions in like a very vague and chaotic environment where people are saying lots of jargon. This is a way of like getting clear on exactly what you're doing.
Got a few more now.
What sort of things are in copywriting tactics?
I've ran through it. There's a replay.
Watch the replay. We
Watch
talked
the
about it a
replay,
lot. Yeah. Workshop Decks is also good. Great. It's the best deck, if you ask me. I'm just a big fan. Haven't been to the site for so long and saw there are new cards. Yeah, we got
loads. Loads.
The two newest decks. If you've been around and you're coming back to see what's going on, negotiation and copywriting tactics are the brand new decks. So if you want to negotiate a raise or better terms, or you're trying to buy a car or a house, negotiation tactics is great. Also for just building empathy and relationships and long-term trust.
Yeah, it's worth saying that with negotiation, actually. There was someone in our community, it was like the day after we just first sold it, and immediately someone was like, I actually tried one of your tactics, and I managed to get $50 off my energy bill. Like, it really is, it doesn't have to be for like negotiating like massive sales. It can be like get your energy bill dropped a little bit.
Any plans to add more magic cards in decks?
Magic cards?
Like Magic the Gathering, or shiny cards, or actual magic cards? Sorry, just joined. Apologies if I missed this. Does the spring sale apply to the full bundle? It didn't seem to apply in the cart. It should do. In fact, I'm sure it does. So the 33% off, which is live on the site right now. By the way, I'm a huge Magic the Gathering fan, so please don't get me talking about that. Okay?
Yeah, please don't.
Like, let's not. This is why I made a card deck company, because I love cards. I collected Pokemon cards as a kid. Oh yeah, they're talking about the Magic shiny ones.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Anyway, sorry, I'm answering the question about the sale. So there's 33% off right now. Ends on Friday. Go to pipdex.com. It's 33% off because it's my 33rd birthday. It applies on everything in the store, including the Ultimate Bundle, which is already half price versus buying all the decks. So there's an additional 33% on top of that. And it does apply.
Yeah, it does. It does. I've just tested it.
Yeah. So yeah, it does apply. Okay. So Sandy, if you're looking at it thinking, I don't think it's applied, Jacob's just tested it. It definitely does.
But any issues, just drop support at pipdex.com if you're still struggling.
Are there any plans to make more expansion packs? Yes. I really like the retros and expansion for Workshop Tactics. Absolutely, Christy. And if you have any kind of thoughts about what kind of expansions you'd like to see, just let us know. What are upcoming decks that you will publish? Is it better to wait to buy everything now or later?
Now.
Yeah, like
now.
Buying now, but like we don't have any plans to launch any like new deck, like this size decks this year. We may do some expansions later on. We may do some digital only stuff. All of our lights are dying. That means they're trying to turn the lights off on us, guys.
Kicking us out.
We do have to go in just a moment. I'll just wrap up on these
But
questions.
yeah, just to say, it's worth getting the Ultimate Bundle now, because our plan really for the next 12 months is to dive deeper into the decks that are currently available. I think is worth saying. So if you're ready, just go for it, because we're going to be releasing masterclasses and maybe a course or two that are going to like help you use the decks further and solve more specific problems.
Matty, we haven't retired any decks, but you know, it depends. I don't know what the future holds. We may start going in one direction or another. We may make 10 more decks. We may make no more decks. I don't have the answer. Our strategy really is, what do we feel like doing? What do our customers want? Yeah. So better online or physical?
Both.
Yeah. The complete package gives you both digital and physical.
At a lower price as well.
Yeah. So with the Ultimate Bundle, you're getting 50% off when you get the complete package of the Ultimate Bundle. And the Ultimate Bundle is all the decks apart from the expansions. So it's like semi-ultimate. And it gets you 50% off over buying them individually. And the digital, it isn't just a PDF of the cards. The digital has the app. So it's a web app, not an app in the App Store. It's a web app that you can access on your desktop or your phone. You can save it to your home screen, and it acts just like an app. And you can save your favorite cards. You can search all the cards that you have, and every new deck that you buy gets added into the digital app. and it's got the videos. The digital has the videos for every tactic. So you've got like a 3 to 5 minute masterclass deep dive on every single tactic, little bite-sized video. And then every tactic has a Miro template that you can access. And it's basically got the tactic laid out for you in a digital whiteboard that you can then start filling in post-it notes and just get started with the tactic even faster. Okay.
Cool.
Right.
I think we're done. I'm
yeah.
so hot.
Yeah.
I've gone so red. So warm.
Thank you so much, everyone. This has been a blast. We'll do this again. But any questions, just shoot us an email. You can email me, charles@pipdecks.com. If you're still wondering, like, you said something about copywriting or whatever, and I didn't quite catch that, just email me and I'll reply to you. And then on YouTube, bye YouTube. Thanks so much, and hope you enjoyed the widescreen version. Sorry the glitch is in the digital version. I will go and look at that right now, Sandy. And then maybe if you refresh in 10 minutes, it will work. Okay, thanks everyone.
Cool. Thank you so much.
And the digital PDFs of the cards are in the app. If you go in the app, there is an option to download it as a digital PDF.
Also, 33% off. Pip Decks ends on Friday.
Okay.
Don't wait. Don't wait.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.